Bob Lazar said UFO was archaeological finding, and Elizondo shared analogy to support this. Vicky Vermahausen-Wise reports Ross Coulthard's statement on an alleged huge UFO buried outside the United States unleashed a storm in the UFO community. He claims that he knows the exact location of this craft. Now UFO enthusiasts are hunting the alleged site where this gigantic, immovable craft could possibly be sitting. There is no confirmation from Coulthard about the nature of this craft if it was retrieved. However, some have speculated this could be an archaeological dig. Could this particular craft potentially be a remnant of a bygone civilization? Scientists have explored the possibility of detecting ancient civilizations in Earth's geological records. A recent paper called The Silurian Hypothesis discusses how traces of industrial civilizations could be found. While fossils and artifacts are unlikely to survive over millions of years, anomalous changes in chemical compositions could serve as clues. By studying geological anomalies and applying models to other planets, scientists hope to understand if civilizations existed in the distant past. NASA has spent many years seeking the truth regarding extraterrestrial life. Furthermore, the space agency has never denied the existence of non-human life beyond Earth in any form. This is sufficient to discuss the idea of non-human life existing beyond Earth in any form, from the microscopic to the macroscopic. Avi Loeb, professor at Harvard, has supported the idea that there may have been earlier civilizations on both Earth and Mars, and that these civilizations may have been the origins of UAPs. He writes, planets like Mars or Earth could have given multiple births to technological civilizations that were a billion years apart and hence were not aware of each other. Like stable parents, the planets recovered from the environmental impact of these civilizations over time. We may have been separated in time from siblings that we never had the opportunity to meet, and so we are unaware of their existence. Considering those two possibilities, former Pentagon UFO official Lou Elizondo shared a true eye-opening statement in his interview with James Yandoli of Engaging the Phenomena on June 11, 2021. They discussed crash retrievals and materials related to unidentified flying objects, UFOs, or unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs. Elizondo acknowledged the sensitivity of the topic and the potential consequences of discussing it openly. However, Elizondo expressed his belief that the U.S. government does possess exotic materials, but could not provide further details due to the lack of transparency from the government. He mentioned the 3 layers of analysis that could be conducted on a piece of material, namely physical, chemical, and atomic or nano-level research. He suggested that if a piece of material exhibits engineered characteristics and peculiarities outside the normal range of known materials, it raises questions about its origin and the technology used to create it. He concluded by using an analogy of finding an out-of-place object in King Tut's tomb to illustrate the significance of finding advanced materials before our known technology existed. Let's say nickel or aluminum or magnesium or bismuth. Then you have to say, okay, who created it and how? At the end of the day, when you have material that has been found before, supposedly we as a species had a technology to engineer it that way, then you've got to ask the question, and this is why I've said before, a 747 is not uncommon to see at an international airport. But imagine being the first guy to break into King Tut's tomb, and all of the things you find in there, you find an intact 747 sitting in the tomb. Does that make sense? Does it? Because 747s were not around when King Tut was around. So what the HELL is a 747 doing in King Tut's tomb? So that's the best analogy that I can use without going into further detail. I've tried to be very careful. I don't want to be dismissive of your questions because it's an important question. I would ask the same exact question, but I also have to be very, very careful. And if you notice, other folks like Hal and Eric and others they're very careful to have this conversation too. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's not just me. I'm not just being paranoid and cagey here. You're actually the most out in the open, and they still, many members of the UFO community interpreted Elizondo's analogy as a subtle hint that UFOs could be considered as archaeological findings. Surprisingly, on the Joe Rogan Experience, Bob Lazar recalled hearing that at least one of the recovered UFOs was found during an archaeological dig, suggesting that it is ancient rather than simply old. Rogan asked, "Have you ever asked anyone that has any inkling or an idea of where they got them or how they got them?" And Lazar replied, "No, but something must have been said to me from Barry, his lab partner, but I can't quite remember what was said, but it just left a seed in my mind. I think at least one of them was part of an archaeological dig, so it's old. Something that one at least of them is old. I don't know if it was the one I worked on, but I remember something to do with an archaeological dig," Lazar said. Mr. Avi Loeb, the Harvard professor, believes it's possible that some of the technological advancement devices made by early inhabitants of Mars and Earth are still operational elsewhere in the solar system. He suggests that, in that case, old flying gadgets could be a source of some of the unidentified aerial phenomena and reports from the Director of National Intelligence to the U.S. Congress, he said. Professor Loeb is not alone in thinking of the advanced civilizations that once inhabited Mars. Physicist John E. Brandenburg explained in his 2015 study what could have happened on Mars. The planet that once had an Earth-like atmosphere faced a massive thermonuclear explosion that destroyed its atmosphere. The study considered the Sidonian hypothesis and Fermi's paradox. And this is on Vicky Verma's House and Wise. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.